Hello friends, it's Ranger Russ. I'm in the forest, Pachaug State Forest to be exact, Connecticut's largest state forest. It's up over 27,000 acres. And I started a little early because there was a towhee right here with me, and it has, unfortunately, while I was turning everything on, it flew away. I tried to get everything on before it left, but let me turn the camera around so you can see where I am. So this is a beautiful little meadow of ferns. It's just, and I'm going to zoom in right there. You can see that cinnamon colored stalk. These are cinnamon ferns, and that's how they get their name, because this time of year and later into the year they will get that beautiful cinnamon looking stalk popping up through the center of them. So I'm trying my my little gyro stabilizer here. Last few times I've tried it, it stopped working on me, so let's see if we can get everything functional today. But right here was the towhee. It was also known as a rufous-sided towhee. It was down in the ferns. When I came over, I did a little call, and it quickly flew up and landed in the tree right in the middle there. So we've had some rain showers go through here. Already passed, sun's starting to pop through. This is a beautiful trail we're going to be walking on. This trail is maintained, this is one of the Blue Blaze trails through the state of Connecticut, and this one's maintained by the Connecticut Forest and Park Association. And if you look, they've added something really cool that I've never seen before. They put chicken wire on these boards. Out in these really wet areas, they get pretty slippery. So, pretty neat idea. I'm going to show you over here. We've got a little stream flowing through. I don't see anything in the stream, but if you want a perfect example of a woodland stream, that's where we are. There's some water striders down there. Can't tip it down low enough to see them. So this is absolutely gorgeous. And over here, so if you saw, I did a Salmon River program, and we found these mushrooms on a tree that had fallen down. It's a shelf fungus, or a pored fungus, because of the pores on the undersides here. But these are absolutely so cool. It looks kind of like there's like caramel or something on the top. It's not sticky, it's perfectly smooth, but this is so cool. And this tree is completely dead. There's no greenery on the top of this tree. But that's just neat. So I guess when it falls, it'll look like the one that we saw at Salmon River, and those mushrooms will grow in a different shape because they'll be growing out the top of the tree. So let's head up. There's another really nice cinnamon fern there. We're going to continue up this trail. It's a good thing they put chicken wire on that trail, because the rocks and logs over here can be a little bit slick. So Connecticut Forest and Park Association maintains these trails. So we're going to give them a big shout out. If anyone's a volunteer for the Blue Blaze Trail maintenance, I'd like to hear from you. I do a radio show on ICRV radio. It's an internet radio station, and I've had some of their volunteers on talking about all of the trails that they maintain. It's hundreds of miles of trails that they help maintain. Here's a tree that's come down, not very much left of it. You can see insects have been eating it. This little fine green material here is what they leave behind after they've eaten it. A woodpecker, actually I'm not sure there's anything left there for a woodpecker to go after. All right, let's continue up the trail here. I just love these heavy wooded trails. It's nice and cool in the shade. We have some Partridge Berry on the side here. The little red berries, the little green flowers or leaves. Now we saw that when I was at Devil's Hop Yard, when I did the program from Devil's Hop Yard. All of the programs that I did in the past, you can go to the Virtual Learning Center at megspointnaturecenter.org and see them. Or you can go to Megs Point Nature Center's YouTube channel and see that. So there's a private property sign here. So the trail actually, this road ends there for us. And that's the trail that I was down. And we're going to continue down this trail. Now I have a quiz, a dilemma. There's a white flower along this trail that I know I learned it when I was a kid. And I cannot remember the name of it. But, oh, there's a flower. Look at that. That's a showy lady slipper. And you can see there's one that didn't flower this year or may flower later in the year. But that's really cool. And wait till I get to the end of the trail though. It's gonna be even better. All right, let's continue down. So we have lots of really nice ferns here. These are known as lady ferns, so we just had a lady slipper. These are lady ferns. That's pretty cool. And the blue trail goes up this way. But we're actually going to continue down the road towards where I parked because I want to show you something down there. So the majority of this forest is white pine. This is really an evergreen forest. You can see that there are some maples growing up through here. Can't see a lot of them, but there are some deciduous trees spread out. Eventually the deciduous trees are going to grow over, they're going to overtop the conifers, the pines, the evergreens, and it's going to start to gradually become a climax forest, which for this area are hardwoods like oaks and maples. So we have a long ways before we reach that point with all these pines here. So here is the flower that I don't remember. So I'd like to see if you guys can tell me what this is. Maybe somebody can look it up on their phone. I don't have very good reception out here, so I didn't get to look it up on my phone. I love iNaturalist. That's a great app for identifying plants, animals, anything from the wild. But these grow all over the forest floors. So you can see all of these little leaves. All year you can see the leaves, but right now they're flowering. There's another lady slipper leaf up here. See that larger leaf is the lady slipper. You can see the ground is covered with pine needles. Only a few broad leaves on the ground here, and lots of broken branches. So a natural part of the forest are these branches that are breaking and falling, and chunks of trees that fall. Naturally, those would burn off every few years. Sometimes we're a little rough and put out fires before they get a chance to burn off that understory. And I should do an entire program on too much litter, or it's called litter, but all the branches on the forest floor. So here we've got a nice little red maple. Does everybody know how you tell a red maple from a sugar maple real quick? By the leaf. If you look at the leaf in between, so there's three lobes on it. If the leaf here is a V, it's a red maple. If it's a U, and there's a U in sugar, then it's a sugar maple. The problem is if you run into a Norway maple, which also has the little U. But that's how you can tell the sugars from the red maples really quickly. Now, take a look. This is a witch hazel back here. And let's see if I can show, wrong direction. So if you look at the witch hazel, it's got a fungus, a red fungus growing out the top of the leaves. That is pretty cool. Not sure what type of fungus that is, but that's neat. I see a question about picnic areas. There are picnic areas here at Pachaug State Forest, but right now you are not allowed to picnic at picnic tables. So you can bring your own blanket and have a picnic at any of the state parks, but we're not allowing people to use the tables just because of the virus, and we don't have a way to make sure that they are clean. Virginia, somebody's watching from Virginia. False Solomon seal, someone says. I'm not sure. I thought false Solomon seal grew up higher and had more leaves. There's only 2 leaves per plant on that one. All right, I'm going through looking at all the questions and comments. Wallingford, Madison's watching, very cool. So the tree I'm showing you right now is an American beech tree. It's one of my favorites. And when I do a program from Harkness, I went there and tried to film a little bit on my day off, but it didn't work out very well. But they have some copper beech, which are really awesome beech trees that have very coppery colored leaves. Now here's some little flowers. These are bluets. There are other names for them. I know somebody's probably going to correct me, but I always knew these as bluets as a child. They will grow in your lawn, and you'll typically just see 1 or 2. There'll be smaller clusters of flowers. So it's really cool. They have little tiny leaves, and then a long stem shoots way up, and you've got the flower. They can be almost pure white, and then they can be much more purple than what we see right here. See a question? Someone's watching with their mom and want to know how long I've worked at the Nature Center. Been at the Nature Center 20 years now. Mayflowers. Yes, I believe that's, but I think there's another name for the mayflowers. I think that's one of the common names though. It gets tough with common names, especially when I get into fish. Fish have so many different common names. I don't know if you guys can see, there's let me move my camera here. and show you. There's a birch tree back there. Looks like a river birch. I love those river birch. But yeah, animals and many of the plants have so many different common names. Here's a type of a berry, either a raspberry or a blackberry. I think that's a raspberry. So you end up with lots of different common names. The blackfish, also known as the tautog. And then there's another name. And then when you get down south, the name changes. And they have a different fish that we call the tautog down there. So common names are tough. And I usually don't use scientific names. I think that confuses a lot of people, get confused by the scientific names. Here's a little interesting thing. So I'm going to move this back. That's the lady fern, and right here, what do we have? Poison ivy. So the poison ivy looks very different right now. Doesn't that look different? Big giant leaves, all green. Okay, so poison ivy can grow in different forms in different parts of the state. Here it just looks like any of the other. There's more poison ivy. Oh, my camera mount just turned off on me. Let's just turn that back on. So the poison ivy, it just looks like a wildflower growing here. Growing with all the other flowers and all the other plants. There's more partridge berry back there. So again, this forest, Pachaug State Forest, 27,000 acres, lots of different trails, different environments. I just drove down one of the roads and looking for something interesting to talk about. There are some areas with little boardwalks and bridges and waterways. There's ponds out here. Lots of different places that you can go and visit throughout the forest. But this was just driving along, and at the end here, we're getting to the end, I'm going to show you what made me stop at this spot. Now here's something that we have a lot of back at Hammonasset. This looks like bittersweet. So these vines grow all over the trees at Hammonasset. There's only a few there. And then there's more poison ivy mixed in with the ferns. So you really want to watch out where you're walking around here. There's some more witch hazel. Talked about that when I did Salmon River. Great medicinal plant. I love all of it. Look at how the light is coming through now. Sun's starting to break through, lights up the leaves, looks really cool. You guys will have to let me know how this stabilizer is working, if this is better than me holding it in my hand. I think this is the third week that I've tried to use it. The first 2 times it didn't work. All right, so this is just a fire road. I was driving along and I saw on the side of the road, can you guys see that? Showy lady slippers. Lots of showy lady slippers. So this is why I stopped. Look at how cool that is. There's a truck coming down the road. We've got showy lady slippers. We've got partridge berry, those red berries mixed in there. And we've got some spotted wintergreen. So we've got 3 different flowering plants. The wintergreen is not in flower right now, but 3 different really cool plants. I love the spotted wintergreen. It doesn't taste like wintergreen. It doesn't have spots, but it's in the wintergreen family. So It's just a really cool plant. But look at all of those. I don't know if you can see how many showy lady slippers are in here. All right. And I don't know if you guys can hear, but there are birds all around me singing away. See, hear a cardinal way off in the distance. Don't know what that one is. It's close to me though. All right. So there's actually a lot of wintergreen in this little corner too. And there's a lot of lady slipper leaves that don't have flowers with them. So that's a really nice sign. This is a nice little grove of lady slipper. Show you my truck. There's the Nature Center truck. How cool is that truck? Sometimes I wonder why people are staring at me as I drive by, and then I realize that I'm driving a billboard like that around, so pretty neat. Okay, so I hope everybody enjoyed this short little snippet of Pachaug State Forest. There's no way I can show you what Pachaug is all about in just a 20-minute little walk. There's way too many trails, way too many things to look at out here. At some point we're going to get the kayaks out, and I'm going to do some kayak tours. And there are plenty of places. We'll probably kayak on Hopeville Pond, which is another state park. I just want to come back and show you. There's another one of those birch trees that I absolutely love. That's that light colored skinny one right there. Any questions? So many lady slippers. Any trillium? I didn't see any trillium. I think most of the trillium is going by this time of the year though. Lady slippers are protected. So there's another lady slipper, the yellow lady slipper. I think I know that one's protected. I don't know that the showy is still protected, but I hope that it is. And someone's asking the app, it was iNaturalist. And actually I got to meet the guy or one of the creators. I guess it was a group of guys, but the main creator, one of the friends of Hammonasset, his son was the creator of iNaturalist. So I met him when they first launched it, and nobody had heard of it. And I didn't even at the time have a phone that could open up an app. But that's really cool. So I guess I should do a shout out to the Friends of Hammonasset. They've been really supportive of the Nature Center and making sure that everything is fed and taken care of. I want to give a shout out to all of my volunteers. Many of them watch these programs, so I want to give them a big thank you. They are feeding and caring for the animals. They are contributing to the Virtual Learning Center. You see those vocabulary lists and word searches and mazes and puzzles and all sorts of things that they are contributing to our website. So thank you to all of our volunteers. I'm going to end showing you this really cool tree. And answering the last question that I see here, what animals would call this area home? So the biggest of the animals would be bears. A big bird just flew into a tree over here. I'm going to see if I can get a shot of it. It looks like a vulture. Can you guys see that? Let's see if I can zoom in and show you. There it goes. That was cool. I hope you at least got to see it fly away. So back to the animals that you can find out here. So the larger ones, the bear, deer, fox, raccoons, all of the typical animals that you're going to see throughout Connecticut. You'll even get mink and weasels up here, fisher, turkey. Ponds are loaded with all, sunfish and perch. Plenty of woodland birds. The towhee was just, I haven't seen a towhee since I worked at Rocky Neck. At one of the parks anyway. I get them at my house once in a while, but I love the towhees. Okay. So again, I hope everybody enjoyed the tour of Pachaug State Forest. If you ever see this truck going by, give me a wave. And I will see you next week at 11 o'clock for another program. Hopefully, you can all join me at that time. So this is Ranger Russ signing off from Pachaug State Forest.